people. Happy Friday. Welcome to Flosstube. My name is Jessie and this is Mislaid Pages. Happy to see you again. There's a bunch of new folks, so welcome. Glad to have you here. Hope that you enjoy what you see. I do have opinions occasionally, so if you are curious about what kind of opinions I have, you might want to check a few videos back just to make sure that that this is a place that you want to hang out. Just FYI. And for the returning folks, thank you so much. You all know that I enjoy you a lot. I've had trouble responding to comments in as timely a fashion as I would like, not only because I've been busy, but also because there's a lot of comments. So thank you all. Happy to have you here, whether you're old or new or somewhere in between. So how has your week been? It is pre-Expo Friday for me, so I'm excited and a little bit anxious, but I think I've got all my ducks in a row. I still have a few orders coming in. On that note, FYI, a couple of pre-orders I have already taken down because I have actually put in orders with those designers. For the most part, I'm going to be trying to buy extras of the things that seem most popular. So I will hopefully have some of those new releases in the shop after the expo once those arrive. But since I've already placed orders with a few of those designers, I've taken those pre-orders down just to make sure that I don't run out of what I have ordered. So the rest of the pre-orders that are still up in the shop will be up in the shop for the rest of today here in the US. When I get up in the morning tomorrow before the expo starts, I will deactivate all of those. So if you want new releases that have been previewed, that I previewed, or let's see, which of the designers, ink circles I did not preview in my video a couple of Mondays ago, and bendy stitchy designs I did not preview, but those are still up in the shop for grabs. So otherwise, almost all the designers that I previewed in my video 2 Mondays back, 1 Monday back, Monday before last, those pre-orders are still available, will be available at a minimum through midnight tonight, Friday. Chances are I won't deactivate them before 7 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. So you still have a little bit of time, and do know that as much as possible, I'm going to bring new stuff to the shop after the expo as well. So if you miss something, I'm going to try to have that stuff in the shop after the fact. If you don't see it in the shop, let me know because I will contact the designers and I will get more if there is a need to do that. So just FYI. So that's the expo stuff. Expo starts at 11 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. So about from that time on, I will be down and dirty trying to get trying to get in to see the designers, talk to some of the other wholesalers, all that sort of stuff. So I'll be a busy person this weekend. Yeah, so that's the majority of my plans. I don't know if I'll get any stitching done this weekend, which, you know, it is what it is. So yeah, so that's what's going on with me. I hope you all have been having a great week. It's just been a really busy week. Not super duper busy, but it's been busy enough. So yeah, that's what's going on with me. Did a lot of stitching last weekend. Yeah, y'all know. I'm going to show you my stitching from last weekend here in a second. I did a lot of stitching last weekend. So consequently, I did a lot of TV listening while I was stitching. And so, yeah, so what I've been watching this week, I binged all of Bridgerton last weekend. I kept hearing about it, kept being told that it was so awesome that I needed to watch it, all this sort of stuff. So finally broke down and watched Bridgerton. Bridgerton is a weird thing, y'all. It's a weird thing. So let me say this. It's a Shonda Rhimes show. And I love Shonda Rhimes. I really do. I haven't watched all of her. I haven't watched all of the Shondaland shows yet because there's, what was it, Shameless or Revenge or both. I can't remember. I know that there's a show that has the actress who is now on The Resident, who plays Nikki on The Resident. She was the star of one of these offshoots, which I think might have been Revenge. And then there's also the political one that I never did watch, and I can't remember what that one was called, but also Grey's Anatomy, Station 19, and I think there's at least one other that I actually have watched and really liked, and I can't remember what it is. So all of these shows are by the same creative mind and probably a lot of the same writers and the creative team. So there's definitely that feel to Bridgerton, and I think that's why, even though it's not the kind of show I would normally watch, it's not the content I would normally watch, um, it was still incredibly engaging, and I couldn't stop watching it. Now, when I say it's not the kind of content I would normally watch, um, it's not because of the sex. There's a lot of it, trust me. But it's more just because um, I'm not a Victorian era English society kind of person. I don't get into Jane Austen. I don't get into to anything that is this kind of thing where the entire point of all of it is this one young woman trying to get married. Like that's not normally my thing. In fact, it's very anti my thing for the most part. But the actors are really good. I do like listening to the British accents, whether they're real or not. I suspect a lot of them are not real British accents. Some of them are, some of them aren't. Um, and it's very typical of a Shonda Rhimes show. It is very extra in so many ways, so very many ways. But what I did appreciate about it, in addition to the fact that it's just a Shonda Rhimes show, and so it has that sort of like get stuck in it, you can't get away from it kind of feel, like you just really have to watch it. In addition to that, there's the fact that even though it's this Victorian era, coming of age, coming out debutante thing, there are these little bits and pieces here and there where we're actually sort of reminded, and the characters themselves go, no, I'm not gonna stay stuck in this role. So a couple of times, even though these young women are still going along with what society expects of them to a certain extent, they're doing their best to take control of their situations and to be their own savior in many cases. And I think that's fantastic. I think it's awesome that that got sort of slid in there along with all of the Jane Austen English society, 1800s English society stuff. I think that's really, really awesome. So there are just these little tidbits here and there. And every time I saw one of those, I was just like, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So one of my favorite things, and this isn't giving too much away because this happens in the very first episode. The thing that made me keep watching was in the very first episode, our main character, Miss Bridgerton, Daphne Bridgerton, she ends up on the dark garden path with a gentleman that she doesn't want to be with. I think she had gone out to take a breath or something, and he followed her. And he, being the kind of guy he is, I think he accosts her basically. And tries to grab her arm, and she pushes him away, and there's all this stuff going on, and there's a bit of a scuffle, and along comes our our white knight along the other path, and he's getting ready to come up to them and to save her. But before he can get there, Daphne actually hauls off and punches the guy in the face. And that is just sort of, in a nutshell, kind of how Bridgerton goes. So that's not the expected thing for a show like this, that this young woman with a potential suitor who is, who's trying to be more forward than she would like, actually just hauls off and punches him. She saved herself before the guy could come save her, and I thought that was awesome. And there's lots of little things like that in the show, so it's worth watching for that. Now, if you're a fan of the adult themes, there's tons of adult themes, and you'll enjoy that. If you're not a fan of adult themes, then this might not be the show for you. It's interesting because there's not a ton of nudity. It's like very light nudity, but there's lots of sexual situations, lots. So yeah, be aware of that if that's something that you're interested in. The other really awesome thing, or really interesting thing, was that throughout the show, you of course have the chamber music, the classical instrumentals in the background, because many of the scenes are at different dances and balls, and so the music of that time is you'd have a chamber orchestra there playing the music live. If you really listen to some of the music, it's actually modern pop music that's been done in an instrumental way. So one of the things that I thought was cute that I caught was there's a scene where Daphne is really asserting her her agency over her situation. And she's saying, this is my life, this is my choice, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do what I have to make this happen because I'm taking charge of my destiny. And while she's having that conversation, in the background, instrumental through a chamber orchestra, is This Is My Fight Song. So and I was like, that's really awesome that they would kind of underlay that with this thing that's happening. So the layers of the show really impressed me, even though it wasn't something that I would normally watch. So if you haven't watched Bridgerton, maybe there's some reasons for you to watch Bridgerton, or maybe warnings so that you don't have to watch it if you're not into some of those things. So just yeah, so that's that. Other than that, I haven't been watching anything new. I'm really stuck on Star Trek: The Next Generation. That's been my go-to for the last couple of weeks. I've already watched it before, but I'm watching it again. I'm in season 2 now. Part of it is I can't figure out what to watch. I feel like I've watched everything ever. So this is the one thing that consistently is not too attention consuming, but also not boring. So if you have some suggestions for shows that I haven't talked about yet that you think maybe I haven't watched yet, I would love to hear about them in the description. Just let me know. I'm always looking for something new to watch. So that's what I've been watching this week. I don't have any, let's see. I never do that thing where I'm like, okay, here's this part of the show, here's this part of the show. But in my head, I'm doing that, and so sometimes I think my switches are like really jarring. I don't know, but so I'm just like, okay, done with that topic. Let's move on. But yeah, so what I was gonna do is say it's time for Happy Mail. I don't have any regular Happy Mail, but I do have some friend mail, which I'm really excited to share with you. So one of my subscribers, a very kind person who also happens to be a patron, decided that they wanted to send me something, which I thought was really sweet. And it just arrived. It actually, I am amazed at how quickly this arrived, considering where it came from. But I asked it, and they said it would be fine to share it, so I wanted to show it to you because I think it's really awesome. So this is the box that it came in. Can y'all guess what it is? Um, I'll tell you, it's not related to cross stitching at all. Pardon the crinkle because I haven't taken it out of the plastic yet. So this is a diamond painting pin. Trying to get the camera to focus. There we go, a little bit better. It's I guess it's blown glass. I guess that would be the appropriate thing. Certainly it's sculpted glass. Um, and it's this gorgeous, elegant diamond painting that a lovely subscriber, okay, the thing doesn't want to sit in there. There it goes, okay. That a lovely subscriber sent to me. And it was funny because they were telling me that the tracking said it should be here soon, and just so I know it's glass. And I'm like, what are you sending me that's glass? And it turns out this is the answer. So look how beautiful that is. I'm trying to get it so you can see. But I love the shape of it, and I think the colors are really nice. So this is really cool. I really appreciate this, and I thought it was so nice. I wanted to share it with you all because I was really touched to receive this. And I forgot to ask if I could share their name, so I'm just going to leave it at they. But certainly, if they give me permission, I'll be happy to tell you. But yeah, I thought that was just so nice. This beautiful diamond painting pen. I like the weight of it too, so I can't wait to try it out with my diamond painting. And I haven't done that. I haven't done much diamond painting recently, so this might give me an excuse. But I just thought that was beautiful, and I wanted to share that with you. So I did get some friend mail. And in addition to the actual pen, it came with several different tips. So there's an extra tip for just placing one diamond at a time. That was the tip that I put in it. And there's also these different multi-placers. So for those of you who are not familiar, actually this is that's a straight edge. I love straight edges. For those of you not familiar with diamond painting, so this straight edge is actually to help you, especially if you're working on squares, to help you line up your diamonds as you're laying them down. And then these multi-placers you can actually pick up when you stick the glue in there, that pink glue, the wax. when you stick the wax in there, my camera is just not wanting to focus. You can actually pick up a whole bunch of diamonds all at one time instead of placing them one at a time. Now, I'm not a multi-placer for the most part. When I diamond paint, I prefer to do one at a time. It's because I'm a perfectionist, and the perfectionist in me can't stand to not have everything placed perfectly and lined up just right. So it's easier and more soothing for me if I just place one diamond at a time. So that was some lovely friend mail. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I don't share that to give you all the idea that you need to send me anything. It's just that somebody did something super nice and I really appreciated it. So I wanted to share it with y'all. So no regular happy mail, but a lovely piece of friend mail. I do have some purchases that have arrived that I will share with you in a little bit. Let's see, last week I said that I would tell you about, we do a Februaviary wrap up and a February whip go wrap up, so I'll get into that in a second. I also have my March whip go stuff to show you because I don't think I had that together last week. Maybe not. I don't think so. No, I didn't have it because when I filmed last week, she hadn't drawn the numbers. She drew the numbers after I filmed. So we'll talk about March's whip go stuff and some other March plans. That's what I forgot to pull out. I knew there was something I was forgetting. But we'll talk about some other March plans too. So let's talk. I'm not going to do the whips and then other stuff order today because everything's kind of jumbled up. So let's talk about Februaviary. So I did not pull out all of the pieces I worked on for Februaviary. I had two smaller starts, one of which was the Quirky Quaker Puffin. I have put that away somewhere and I couldn't remember where it was. So that's still away. And I also had started from, was it Heart and Hand Design, Cardinal Etching. That is also somewhere and I've forgotten where it is, but this is, I will find it. It's probably over here and I just didn't look in the right place. This is Blackbird Fractor. This is a Plum Street Samplers piece. And there's just this little bitty start in the corner. I had planned on working on this some more in February and just didn't get to it, largely because of the piece that I'm going to show you shortly that I got really hyper focused on. Oops, thing's falling over. But this was, I believe, start number 2 of the 3 new starts I did for Februaviary. So, and as we wrap up Februaviary, those are the only new starts that I did. I got into Dreaming Girl as my 4th new start in February, and then I realized that I was happy with the birds that I had started. So I didn't start all of the new starts that I had planned. The sun has come out, and apparently it's messing with my focus. So, in more ways than one. So yeah, I never did work any more on this, but I did work on another piece that I think should totally be included in Februaviary, and I'm going to show you that here in just a second. So that's Februaviary, and in addition to that, in addition to the pieces that I started, let me just say I saw some really awesome stuff on Instagram, folks using the Februaviary hashtag. So thank you all for participating. I didn't actually ask anybody to enter anything, so I didn't put together a slideshow like I do sometimes because I basically had not asked anybody's permission to share any of their work. But if you go to Instagram and you go into the search bar and you type in hashtag Februaviary, 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 or go to one of my posts where I use that hashtag and click on it, you will see all the stuff that people worked on for Februaviary. And there were some diamond paintings, there was lots of cross stitch. So there's a lot of different kinds of projects, a lot of different really fun stuff that folks were working on. So thank you all for joining me in on that. I think I'm going to make that an annual thing. So Februaviary again next February. And now let's talk about February's whip go. So I don't know if I'll actually put in my whip go board here. If I decide to take the time in editing and put it there, it'll be somewhere over here. Directions. So box number 4. So whip go is like a bingo board, WIPGO. And it's set up just like a bingo board with the letters across the top and the numbers on the side. And box 4, and it was 4 and 20, 4 and 20 blackbirds for February. So box number 4 and box number 20 were called, for me, box number 4 was a fox few. I tried to call it Firefox. Fox few. This is another Plum Street Samplers design. As you can see, I have the top relatively close to finished. My goal for this was to put 5 hours in, which I did. I had previously, when I brought it out for February, I think all I had was this and the bottom and just that little edge on the side. That's all I had done. I just had, I'm talking so fast that I'm running out of breath. Take a breath, take a breath. I did this in, okay, let me just digress for just a second. So when I was in school and we had to do presentations or we had to do oral essays or anything like that, I did the exact same thing. It didn't matter how prepared I was for anything. I would stand up there and talk like I was trying to, I don't know, like I was trying to outrun a clock or something, no matter what I did. I talked so fast, all the time, so fast. And sometimes I'm really good at catching myself and taking a break or taking a breath right at the beginning of a Flosstube or a knitcast. And sometimes that breathlessness, that needing to get everything out right at the same second, sometimes that lasts the entire hour. So sometimes I'm exhausted by the time I'm done with this. So, deep breath. Okay, we're all friends here. I don't need to speed through this. Let me just. Okay, okay. I've been running at 90 miles an hour all day because I just felt like I had so much to get done. Okay. So all I had done on this piece, when I brought it out for February, was just probably half or a majority of this outside border. That's all I had stitched back in November when I started it with Rachel and Heike. So in my 5 hours, I got all of this up here, and I got more of the border done. So I did a pretty good, or got pretty good progress on that. Of course, I have it on one of my artisan design lock scroll frames, but I haven't actually stitched with it in this frame. I put it in the frame and never got around to stitching anymore with it. And for the moment, I'm okay to put this back away. Since this, I believe I put this on my board as a stitch along because I'm doing a stitch along of this with Rachel of Rachel Ray and Heike of Stone Cold Coffee Crafts. We're doing it as a stitch along for the 3 of us together, which you're welcome to join in. And I think it was hashtag FoxFewSal, I think is what we decided on. Super simple. And because it's a stitch along, I qualified it as a stitch along. I think it's on my Whip Go board twice, so it'll come up again before the end of the year. So I decided that I'm fine with where I am now. I'm going to take it off the lock scroll, and put it away, and put something else on the lock scroll. So, so I did meet my goal for February. Like I said, my goal was 5 hours. Get it up a little bit closer so you can see if I can get there we go. So that is the progress I got on that. So I succeeded in my goal. And then my other Whip Go project, dun da da da. So this was box 20. This is, let me hold it up for you. This is Baba Yaga from the Witchy Stitcher. So this is a Witchy Stitcher design. And I finished this, y'all. I finished it. I can't even, this is the largest piece that I have finished, I think, other than, I think the next largest piece, I finished the Golden Girls. That was pretty large and intense. And then other than that, it's just been the one model stitch, the large model stitch that I did last year. Everything else I finished, I think, has been smaller. So it's a pretty big deal for me. I spent all last weekend working on this. I could not put this down. All I could do was stitch and stitch and stitch on this, and I'm so happy with it. I am so happy with it. Let me hold it. Make sure the camera's focused, that you got enough light. So, okay. So, um, the text there reads, "Turn your back to the forest, your front to me." And the whole thing is based off of Baba Yaga, who is a Slavic um, mythical figure. And I don't know the full story. I should have researched it by now. I don't know the full story, but Baba Yaga is considered to be sort of like a witch of the woods kind of character or figure. She's not a god or anything like that, but she's said um, to be helpful and powerful to the folks who respect her, but also can be quite mean and evil to the folks that disrespect her or her woods. So, so that's why it's sort of creepy. She also lives in a house that is on chicken legs, out in the woods. So, because this house is on chicken legs, and because I finished it, and because I feel like it, I'm deciding that this is a Februaviary finish because um, there are chicken legs, so there's a bird in it, sort of. But I'm just super excited. So, those of you who watched the stitch and chat that I posted on Monday, I was very nearly finished when I was working on the stitch and chat. So the stitch and chat, I finished this black area of the arch up here, and then all I had left to do after that were some of these little tiny motifs through here, and then filling in the colors in these areas. So it didn't take me very long after I finished filming the stitch and chat before this was finished. And y'all, I don't even know what to say. I'm just like, I'm so excited to have finished this. Um, I'm so like proud of myself um, that I finally got it done. So I started this March 18th last year. So for me, that was about a week after quarantine started. Um, for me, quarantine started March 13th, because March 12th, and I talked about this recently, I can't remember where, maybe in the whip and chat. March 12th, 2020 was when we got an email at our office saying that our higher ups had decided, especially after the governor's order, that we were safer at home and that we were all to start teleworking as soon as possible. So I grabbed up all my stuff and I haven't been back to the office since March 12th. So this girl is almost a year old, but I got her finished before she turned a year old, so I'm pretty proud of that. So yeah, there we go. I don't know what else to say. I feel like this is so monumental that I should be saying all kinds of things, and I don't know what else to say, but I finished it. I'm so excited. So obviously, obviously my March WIPGO or my February WIPGO goal was completed because I only challenged myself for 500 stitches. I put 4,000 stitches into this girl this month, just this month. So, yeah, not trying to pat myself on the back, but I'm patting myself on the back because I did not believe I was capable of doing that many stitches in that amount of time, but wow. So, I'm thinking about, now that I've finished this Witchy Stitcher pattern, I have a number of other Witchy Stitcher patterns that I would like to do, including the Sabbath collection. So the Sabbath collection is one design per um, like Wiccan Sabbath. I think that's appropriate if I'm saying it that way. It's like the lunar cycle. So the next closest, or the on the calendar, the next Sabbath would be Ostara, which is this month actually. So I'm considering starting Ostara um, the 19th through the 22nd of March because that's when Ostara happens. And then Beltane would happen in May, and then so on and so forth around the year. So I believe they're based off the lunar calendar. They are potentially also Wiccan Sabbats. I'm not exactly sure, but they're really awesome. So I'm thinking about starting those this year maybe, and just like basically starting one when that event happens and going around the year, and then just finishing them, working on them on their birthdays. So we'll see. Excuse me. So regardless, this is finished. So now I just have to finish or figure out how to fully finish it, how to FFO it, and I've got a couple of ideas. So I need to be brave and take it off of um, the frame and decide how to make this into its fully fabulous self. So. So as far as WIPGO goes, I blasted my goals out of the water, at least obviously with um, Baba Yaga. I blasted my goals out of the water, so I'm pretty proud of myself with that. So that makes for me 2 months of exceeding my goals for WIPGO. So I'm also very excited about that. So I have high hopes for this month. This month, the boxes called were 10 and 24. I think that's correct. Regardless, my pieces for this month, I believe this is box number 10. So this is Stitch season 5, Stitch number 5, like Mambo number 5, maybe. Mambo number 5, y'all. Does anybody else remember that? Just me? Anyway, so this is Stitch number 5, or season 5, and so it will read once I've finished the text here. As for me and my house, we shall serve. And then the bottom is going to have the giant head from Rick and Morty, and it will have the text, the giant head. So as for me and my house, we shall serve the giant head. That's what that's going to read. Now I have already put an hour into this for WIPGO. I don't know if you'd be able to tell, and I'm probably not going to take the time to put a before picture in here. I'll do that later in the month when I finish my goal. But I suspect that 5 hours is going to get me, at the very least, it's going to get all of this text finished. I'm very confident that I'll be able to get all the text finished within the next 4 hours that I still have to stitch for my goal. Whether I can get the bottom portion finished will be the bigger question. Now, if I remember correctly, the rest of the design should fit in this. I don't know if you can tell it's gridded. This was back when I was still gridding things. But I believe the entirety of the rest of the design will fit within this grid. And that being the amount of space that's left, I feel like maybe I could get a finish. Maybe not within 5 hours, but I feel like a finish is possible for this piece this month. And let me tell you, it would not hurt my feelings to get a finish in this month. Because I think so far I'm running 2 for 2 on finishes. I had a little baby finish with the Fishbones Quirky Quaker in January. And then I had a big finish with Baba Yaga in February. So, I mean, why not have a finish in March? Why not have a finish every month? Maybe I have enough to finish. Maybe I have small enough things or things that are close enough to finish every month. 12 finishes for 2021. I see nothing wrong with this. So anyway, anyway, my goal is another 4 hours. So 5 hours total is my goal. If I finish this, I would be incredibly ecstatic. So we'll see how that goes. So this is box number 10. That's WIPGO goal number 1, 5 hours. And then my second WIPGO, box 24, is the Linen and Threads 2020 SAL stitch along. SAL, SAL is a stitch along, in case you're not familiar with all of the lingo. So this is a big mamma jamma, what we like to call a BAP, a BAP, which the A can mean several different things. Some folks like to call it a big awesome project. Some people like to call it a big ass project, big awful project, whatever you like to think of it as. But this is a BAP because this is a half yard of fabric, and I think it's going to take most of this fabric. So this is my fabulous needle minder I made. So this is Linen and Threads, and I'm holding it sideways. Okay. It's been a while since I worked on this, y'all. So if any of you are familiar with this pattern, you can tell I didn't get very far. This is January. So it was a year-long stitch along, and I only got through January. So my goal on this, I think I had put on my board that my goal was 500 stitches, but I don't know if I'm actually going to be counting stitches because I think I think I managed to put this in Pattern Keeper, but I don't know how well that's going to work for me. So it's going to be 500 stitches or 5 hours, whichever requires the most effort, really, because I'm trying to make these challenging. So this is what I have so far. This is stitched on a piece of Mystic fabric. This is 32 count Lugana. And I think this is actually okay, this is her Snert colorway, if you're familiar with that at all. So 32 count hand-dyed Lugana from Mystic Fabrics. And I've got 2 different kinds of threads here, or 2 different colorways of threads. So the first one is Indian Tapestry, and that's from Threadworks. So all of that is Indian Tapestry. And then the bright blue with the purple, that is a Kathy Davidson cotton thread. And that was, I believe I got that from her before she started naming her colorways. So that's an unnamed colorway from Kathy Davidson at Dying for Cross Stitch. And I was smart. I did purchase enough of both of these to actually do the entire thing. Though part of me is like, wouldn't it be fun if, what if I just do random colors for each month? Why? Why not? Why not? Wouldn't that be great? I don't know. We'll see. I have an awful lot of this Indian Tapestry color because I had originally planned to do it all in that colorway, and then I decided to add in this blue and purple after the fact. I'm still not sure if I love them together. I'm still unsure, but for now I'm going to go with it. So my plan for this piece, 5 hours or 500 stitches, but because I'm going to end up putting this on a scroll frame, and it may live on a scroll frame for a while, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to work out of order. So the original order for the stitch was January, February, March. So it went down this way and then started going across and then back up. I'm actually going to work from January to whatever comes here next, which I think is May. So the motif that happened here is what I will work on next, and I'll work across that way and then down because that makes me happier. So if I'm going to put it in a scroll frame, or if I'm going to put it in any kind of frame, it makes it easier if I do everything horizontal and then I can move the fabric versus going down and moving the fabric several times and then moving it all back up. And, you know, I don't like to do that. So anyway, I originally, and it's funny, I'm talking about putting this on a frame. When I started stitching this, I stitched it all in hand. So that's why this piece is a little bit more wrinkly than a lot of the other pieces I have, is because this was all stitched in hand. I did not actually put this on a frame. And even though I enjoy stitching in hand, I'm so much slower with it. And the stitches don't come out as neatly as I would like. So I'm going to put this in a frame. I'm going to stitch it two-handed. And that's just going to make me happier. So, and it's all about, you know, it's important to enjoy the process as much as you enjoy the actual piece. So I'm going to go that way. But yeah, so that is March's focus piece number 2. So those are my whip go goals for March. Now, I do have some other plans for March. I don't have a ton of plans for March. A lot of people are doing March matchup kind of stuff, and I'm using Michelle G's Bendy Stitchy. I'm using her term for the events that are going on right now because I agree with her that I don't like the wording that most folks use for March stuff. So I'm going to go with March matchups. So I'm not doing that. And a lot of it is just because it's a lot of different projects. It's a lot of changing up. It's a lot of stitching on a very tight schedule. And I'm just not about that. I don't do well with that. I think it's awesome that folks are doing that, and I think it's fun to watch them and their progress and how stuff goes for them. And I will absolutely be following along, but I'm not going to do it. It's just too much. It seems very stressful to me. If you're not familiar, the March matchups are set up like the brackets for the college basketball stuff that goes on in March. Um, so you start out with, or at least how I've seen folks doing it, is your bracket starts out with, 8 pieces altogether, and you pair 2 pieces together and you stitch each of those, and then folks vote on which of those they like, and the one that wins, you match it up against another piece that was in a similar bracket that folks voted for. And then, and it's not going to make a lot of sense since I'm just waving my hands, but go watch Michelle's video from last Saturday. She explained it really well. She had her bracket up on screen. It was really easy to understand. But the point is that you literally match up 2 whips or a new start and a whip or whatever, and folks vote on which one they want you to continue working on, so that the winners match up against each other, and then those winners match up against each other until you have one whip that stands supreme at the end, just like with the basketball brackets. And I'm more familiar with those than I care to be, only because we used to do brackets this time of year at work just for fun, to see who could guess best which teams were going to win at the end. I care nothing for sports. Nothing. Nothing at all for sports. Really, really don't care about basketball. But the brackets were kind of fun because it was a thing that we did at work, that was sort of a camaraderie kind of thing. And especially my former boss, now colleague, it was fun to kind of trash talk with him about the teams and stuff. It's like, I don't know anything about the teams, but and it was really fun for me because I would joke with him and kind of pick at him because he knew all the statistics and why this team should win over that team and blah blah blah. And I would constantly confound him because I would pick a team because I liked their mascot, or I would pick a team because I liked their location or their colors or whatever, because I don't know nothing about no basketball teams. Not me. So yeah, but yeah, as fun as it seems, I'm set with all of my whips and working on my whips through WhipGo. Like, I've got a handle on that, and that's very calm and sedate, and I'm good with that. I don't need the excitement of stitching on something different every 2 or 3 days. That's too much for me. But there is another thing I'm going to be joining in on in March, and let me pause for a second and get the piece out so I can talk about it. Okay, so one of the many other things going on in March, and there are a number of hashtags going on. So there's a bunch of stuff to join in on in March, and among them is monochromatic March. Now I heard about this through Michelle G. But I forget where it originated. I think it was some of her friends that decided they were going to do monochromatic March, and she was joining in with them. But she decided that because the piece she wanted to work on, she had 2 colors she wanted to use, that she was going to do monochromatic-ish March. And I'm all about that, y'all. I'm all about that because stitching in just one color is not really for me. I like to use variegated threads, and I like to use multiple threads together and all this sort of stuff. So when she said monochromatic-ish, I was like, I'm so there. I'm here for it. So for monochromatic-ish March, I'm going to be working on, you can't tell, but this is my pandemic. This is Pandemic by Long Dog Samplers. I keep wanting to say it's my pandemic sampler, but there's a different designer that actually has a pandemic sampler. That's the name of it, which is another hashtag that's happening this month. I'll talk about in a second. But this is Long Dog Samplers Pandemic. And you can't tell it's going to be monochromatic-ish because I've only done that little bit of stitching. But I talked about this before. I'm using 2 different colorways from Kathy Davidson at Dying for Cross Stitch. This is Decadence, which is a nice deep dark purple, and I'm also going to be using Sangria, which is a pinkier, more magenta leaning purple. So I'll be using 2 different variegated threads, so it's definitely monochromatic-ish. But when Michelle mentioned that, I was like, oh, that'll give me an excuse to work on Pandemic, so I'm very, very excited. So I will be working this into my rotation sometime this month. I'm not sure when. but I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna use the hashtag because I think it's awesome. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I'm excited to join in on that hashtag. Um, and since I'm talking about hashtags and pandemic sampler, I forget who the designer is. Might be um, no, Michelle's working on a modern folk embroidery, so it's somebody else who did the pandemic sampler. But Jen Lee and Michelle G and several other folks they started it on March 1st, and it's hashtag it's been a hell of a year, Sal, I believe is the correct hashtag, and they're all working on the pandemic sampler together, and I can't remember who the designer is, I'm sorry. Um, but check them out if you're interested in that. It's not a sampler I'm planning on doing, so that's why I don't really know who the designer is, because it wasn't one I was planning on working into my into my schedule. But I will be working on this pandemic sampler, and you know, I don't know if they would mind if I put hashtag it's been a hell of a year, because that's part of why I'm stitching on this, is because pandemic, right? So anyway, so that's something else I plan on doing in March. And the last thing, uh, trying to see, okay. The last thing is, I'm not going to pause and grab it because this is already getting long, and so I'll just talk about it. I mentioned this in my stitching chat the other day. Um, March 31st is my father's birthday. And so on March 31st, I will pull out my Someone We Love sampler from Glendon Place, and I will put a few stitches in on that in honor of my father. So I've mentioned it a couple times. My father, my mother, and my stepfather have all passed. So I have a lot of folks in heaven, if you believe in heaven. We're not going to get into that conversation. That's way heavier than we need. Anyway, they have all passed. They're no longer with us. And so I am stitching Someone We Love by Glendon Place, and it says, Someone We Love, because someone we love is in heaven, there's a little bit of heaven in our home. Now, I will say, I'm not, I don't believe in a literal heaven, but I do believe in honoring the ones that have passed, remembering them, loving them, and hoping that in some way, shape, or form, we will meet again. So, and before I get too emotional, my main point is that as part of that, I prefer to remember, to recognize them, to think about them, to celebrate them on happy anniversaries rather than sad ones. So birthdays and anniversaries and stuff like that, that's when I choose to pull out that piece and stitch on it. At least that's what I've decided. So the next happy anniversary is my father's birthday. So I'll be stitching on Someone We Love on March 31st. So that is all my plans for March. I didn't talk about that last week, so I wasn't exactly sure what March was going to be. In addition to Expo, so we'll see. I've talked a lot about being really anxious about Expo and that sort of thing, but I think this is really going to be a lot more chill than an in-person event. We'll see after tomorrow, but you know, at least it's going to be more chill for me personally, because dealing with people online and going to shops online is a very different thing than being physically in a space with a lot of people and having to meet them face to face and having to be on for 3 days straight and that kind of stuff. So it's probably going to be a lot more laid back than I had originally anticipated. At least let's hope. But with any luck, I won't be completely spent after after the weekend. I'm just really excited and hoping that I can see and purchase enough stuff to share some really awesome new things with you. I have some plans, things that I'm going to try to get. I'm going to not talk about them yet because because we know how plans are. And also, even though I have a pretty good idea of who all is going to be there as far as, you know, the wholesalers and designers and dyers and things like that, I don't know for certain how much time I'm going to have to get to them and what I'm going to be able to purchase. So I'm not going to get your hopes up yet, but I have some ideas. I'm hoping to do some awesome stuff. So, and to have some awesome stuff. So we'll see how that goes. Chances are after the expo is over, I will probably have some stories and things to share with you. I may have some images of fun stuff to share with you. But I think the real redux is not going to happen until physical items start shipping in, because that will be when it's really fun to show you stuff, when I have it in my hands and I can show it to you. So that's what's coming up. I know folks will start shipping after the weekend, so hopefully within a week or 2 weeks, I'll have physical things that I can show you. So that's hopefully going to be really exciting. So I hope y'all have some fun stuff planned for this weekend. Do some stitching for me, because I probably won't have time. I might knit while I'm chatting with people. We'll see. But yeah, so I hope you have some fun plans this weekend. I hope things are going well for you. I hope you're still staying safe and staying sane as much as possible. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you continue to have a great day and a great weekend. And remember, stay hydrated. That's going to be a feat for me this weekend. Stay hydrated. Take all the meds that you need to take, including your vitamins. And remember that good enough is good enough. And I'll see you again next time. Have a great one.